Project 6, titled The Power of Your Voice. Charles Lowe, The Power of Your Voice.
Thank you, Marcus. So before I begin my speech, I would like to distribute some handouts so that you can all read on throughout my presentation. So let me make sure everyone has a copy first before I begin my speech. I'm not sure if I have a copy for everyone, so if we run out, so you may have to share. Oh, you can just okay, so now let me begin the speech. So, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Okay, let's start it again. Let's just start. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
So what do you think is the difference between the two different greetings? Because
Low and high in terms of the tone, the pitch, the emotion.
yes, so absolutely correct. As we are all Toastmasters and we are all interested in public speaking, we all know that having a master's on the way that you can project your voice is so important to be an advanced speaker. So today, I'm very happy to hear to give you some tips on how you can use your voice and become a more powerful speaker. And that's why I named the title of my speech, Power of Your Voice. So, there is a term that I would like to introduce to you. Can I use this? It's called the, oops, I'm sorry about this. Do we have a pen? Okay. Okay. It's called the, oh, oops. Can everyone see?
Yes.
Okay. This word is called the voice profile. You may not know what exactly voice profile means, but let me explain to you. It's basically some parameters that we can use to understand how you are mastering your voice projection. And well, there are many parameters. Today I'd like to highlight 3 of them and would like to go into more further details. And as you can see, there are 3 terms, 3 words, keywords in your notes. It's called CSI. Absolutely not criminal scene investigation, but voice profile investigation. So let's go into that. Can anyone guess what is the C means? What's that, Shelley? I heard someone say
Clarity.
color. Color is correct. Because she's smart, she's in the first sentence on the handout. What do I mean by color? That means how you can add color to your voice projection. Well, people can speak very fluently and make it very boring. And you can also speak it in a very variety, giving a high variety of vocal variety that gives you a lot of colors in your speech. And especially important is that you have to understand the role that you are, when you are playing when you give the speech. And because it projects the different emotions of what you're trying to explain. So for example, when I try to respond to someone who makes a mistake, as a boss, I would say, this is totally unacceptable. But when my wife makes a mistake, I would say, oh, that's okay, you can do better next time. You can see the totally different kind of voice projection because you're playing different roles. Okay, that's nice and easy. So that's what I call color. And secondly, what is S? Can anyone guess?
Speed.
Speed, that's correct. Nice one. So what I mean by speed? It's all very, very obvious. Well, I think speed, what I personally think is that it really depends on the personality of yourself when you talk. For me, I'm a very greedy person, so I try to speak a lot of things in my presentation, and during the conclusion, I was just like this, and no one understands what I'm talking about. So, okay. So this is not something that you should learn from me, because I try to integrate too many informations when I want to talk. So that's what I'm trying to correct. But for yourself, I think what you can learn is to understand when you can use a correct speed in your presentation. Can anyone guess what is a good number of words per minute?
100?
Close.
108?
160 is right.
120
120 to 160 is what the express states is right per words that you should talk in a minute. So you can write that down too for your own information. And that's something you can think about. And for speed, I think there are two tips that I have for you. Is that when you usually use a varying speed when you want to emphasize a point, or when you want to express different kinds of emotions. That's where you want to use varying speed during a speech. Oh, I got 2 minutes left. And finally, I have to go into I. Can anyone guess what is I?
Intonation.
Close. It's actually in notes. Inflection. Inflection. Okay. So what it means by inflection? It means by putting an emphasis on a point, by giving a higher pitch. So you should do that when you want to express something that's important, when you want to emphasize something. That's why you use an inflection. I also have some small exercises that we can do together in my handout. First is that I would like to use this sentence to illustrate to you what is the importance of the speed and also the inflection. So this sentence I use is, I studied in Hong Kong. So let me start by the first sentence. I studied in Hong Kong. What do you think that implies? That means Vikas doesn't study in Hong Kong. Vikas studied in India. So when I emphasize on the word I use a changing speed. I usually make it slower and I make it louder. So secondly, I go into, I studied in Hong Kong. What does that mean? That would mean something like, I actually studied in Hong Kong and I didn't just play around and just being lazy. I actually did really some real studies. And the third sentence would be, I studied in Hong Kong. So what does that mean? It probably means something like, I studied in Hong Kong, not anywhere else. And finally, I studied in Hong Kong. So that means I probably didn't study in China. So with all these different kind of changing speed and also the inflection point, it totally changes the way that you imply the sentence. Well, this is very implicit. This is equally important when you try to illustrate the point. And secondly, there's another exercise that I would like to go into quickly. How many times? Yellow? Okay. Oh, cool. Okay. What it means is that I want to use one word. For example, I would like to use Suzanne. So I use a word. You can actually change the inflection point within the same word, and it actually means something different. So let me try by starting Suzanne. What does that mean? That could probably mean something like, I'm very sincere. I'm trying to say something very serious to her, so I say Suzanne. That's the first one. Secondly, would be a inflection that starts from low to high. It would become Suzanne. What does that mean? That could mean something like something that surprised me. So like Suzanne, oh, you did something very, very excellent that surprised me. I was, totally impressed by you. And finally, if I go somewhere from high to low, that would be Suzanne. What could that mean? That could be something that Suzanne could have done that have disappointed me. Suzanne, why did you do the time was so badly? I couldn't accept that. Something like that. So even the same word you can actually use in inflection. So, remember what we learned today, CSI. C is color, S is speed, and I is inflection. And to give you some hints, the next takeaway is that for all Toastmasters members, we actually got this book in your new membership kit. It's called Your Speaking Voice, and basically all the information that I talked to you about is in the book right here. So to learn more about how to do better in voice projection, read this, and I'm sure you can become a much better speaker. And for those who are not members, this is something that you can buy as a Toastmaster member. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charles, for giving the finer nuances of speaking and speaking well. Charles, you did a wonderful job. I please give you 1 minute to write down your thoughts on how Charles may improve and what you found good in his speech. Thank you. Does everybody have the voting ballots? If not, please raise your hands. Thank you.